Good morning, sir. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. 1 minute, please. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Yeah, 1 minute. That's the mystery.
Yes, that's the surprise.
Here I am.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. I am absolutely fine. Holidaying in Dubai. I don't know whether it's choosing between the devil and the deep sea. So yeah, Dubai being the devil and India being the deep sea, of course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
I am absolutely fine, Prerna. Absolutely superb. And Jigyasa, how are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good.
Great to connect once again. I mean, it's been,
Yes, sir.
I think, a year and a half, probably,
Yes,
Almost 10
when
years,
we connect.
yes.
Yeah, when we connected the last time.
yes,
It
sir.
was a super session the last time as well. And I hope this one is even better.
So
Because I
one of
see,
your fan is always, asking us that when are you organizing the session with sir? When are you organizing the session with sir? So you must remember Pranav from the last session.
yes, of
Yeah.
course.
So
Of
he
course.
was all excited. I think he will be joining in a while.
Right.
But he was
Actually,
all
he's the one who motivated me to talk to you again and asked you to join for this session as well.
Never hesitate in asking me to join in a session which is meaningful, rather than the Insta live sessions where same questions are asked by everyone who comes on the Insta live, and I'm quite tired. I think I'm just going to record the answers for the Insta live questions because I know what those questions will be,
That's
and
true.
might as well just keep my face off and just play the recorded version. Everything will come on that. Yeah, but no, I find it extremely interesting. Whether it's, I'm just joking, whether it's Insta Live or whether it's a Zoom session like this, or whether it's my workshops that I have been conducting, which there's one that is going to be conducted from the 15th of June as well. I'm not going to be in Dubai for long. I'm going to be shifting to Bangalore. I mean, shifting the sense from Dubai to Bangalore because my elder daughter stays there. So I thought one stone, two birds is always good. My younger daughter stays here in Dubai, so I was in Turkey shooting for a film. Yes, so I don't want to say too much because there is a question about what I did and how I feel about the lockdown. So yeah, that's it.
So, before we start the session, a formal introduction from our side.
Yes.
We all know his face. His face is very familiar, and his personality is very dynamic, which is very well shown through the various characters he has portrayed over the years on various platforms of media. And he started his journey of acting and his passion and his craft with theater, and appeared first time on camera with his iconic role of KD in DD National's Swabhiman. Thereafter, as the globalization came along and more channels opened up, he played various memorable roles in ZTV's shows as well as other big and small roles across different TV media platforms. Then he moved on to the big screen with iconic and memorable roles in high intensity films like Talwar, Dangal, um, Uri, and Razi. But for most of us young people, he is more memorable to us because of his beautiful portrayals in OTT platforms. One of our favorites being TVF Permanent Roommates, as well as Dice Media's What the Folks. And he has such a dynamic personality, such a character, and such a demeanor that it's always a pleasure to connect with him. And we feel so much of gratitude to have this chance to interact with him personally. And yeah, so throughout lockdown also he has taken up so many projects, and that is one thing that I absolutely admire about him, that his dedication to his craft and his work ethic is beyond commendable. And today he has taken time out for you all, so please take the best of the benefit of this session, and hope you enjoy. And that's it for my side. uh, yeah, so let's come on to the questions. So
First
how?
of all, let me say a couple of words to what you've just said. Thank you so much, Prerna. Thank you so much, Jigyasa, for those beautiful words. Highly appreciated. Thank you once again. Yes, there is a lot of dedication. There's a lot of commitment that comes when you are an actor. You just cannot flirt with what I call acting. Acting is a craft. It's like any other business that you may want to do. Until and unless you commit yourself, you are dedicated, you're disciplined, and you're focused, it's not going to happen. Whether it be a businessman's character, whether it be a person that you are, working in an MNC, a doctor, anyone, any profession, any walk of life. I think it is extremely necessary for any and all of you to dedicate your craft, I mean your profession, to such an extent that people walk up to you and say, "Wow, you've really done very, very well for yourself." So thank you once again, Prerna and Jigyasa, and thank you all of you for being here. I I am completely overwhelmed by this gathering of 44 participants. My goodness, it is fantastic. I am always there if any one of you would like to share your experiences, you would like to talk to me, you would like to ask me questions. If I can answer them, I will answer them to the best of my ability. If I can't, I will say, I'm sorry. I am not going to beat around the bush and say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. No, nothing of that kind. If I say, sorry, I cannot answer, uh, yes, I really cannot answer. So I am not one of those who would give solace to people for the heck of giving that, solace to a lot of youngsters. So if you guys want to connect with me, you're most welcome to do so. Jigyasa and Prerna have my number. Uh, you can always call me. There is absolutely no problem.
Thank you so much, sir. So how has the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown been treating you?
Well, it came as a surprise to me, the second wave. And I think, according to me, it was uh, due to many factors, the most important being the carelessness and the callousness of the individuals in this country. Unfortunately, if you go to a state like Kerala, which is kind of aware of the fact the literacy is 100, almost 100% there. You see a little boy wearing a mask. But if you go to states other than Kerala, I don't understand why people don't want to look after themselves, don't want to look after the others who are there around them, and why this carelessness. Is ignorance the question? Ignorance is bliss, I know that. But in this connection, I don't think ignorance really comes to the forefront. I think it is carelessness on every individual's part. There is no reason why we should have gone the way we have gone in this country. The second wave came as a complete shock. We've lost a lot of friends, we've lost a lot of relatives. All of you must have, in some way or the other, gone through quite a sad, sorrowful situation with the pandemic in the country. It's all over the world. I mean, I was in Turkey. Turkey is probably ranked fifth in the world as far as the number of cases are concerned. The deaths are very low. But as far as the cases are concerned, yes, Turkey is ranked number 5. But when there is a lockdown, there is a lockdown. I was questioned by the police in Turkey while going for a walk on a Saturday afternoon. They asked me, "Where is my passport? You're not supposed to be on the roads. Please go back to the hotel." I didn't have my passport with me. But when they saw that I was a foreigner, and of course I look like a foreigner, but I'm supposed to carry my identity on myself, and you're not supposed to be moving around. No local person in Turkey is allowed to get out of the house unless and until he is going for grocery shopping or going to a medical store. He has to prove why he's going out in the car, why he's walking. Foreigners are allowed, but yes, again, the question of putting on the mask, the social distancing that is required has to be adhered to. I don't think people can blame the government. Everybody, gets onto this bandwagon of blaming the government. Why? Blame yourselves. I think it is very, very important for you to understand within you what you have done, what you should have done, and what you should have undone. Don't blame the governments. I don't think it is correct. They are trying their level best to try and cope with the situation. Look at the doctors, look at the frontliners. I mean, they are going completely berserk, trying to handle this pandemic, more than a pandemic. Why? If you guys, if everyone, every individual of the country had actually gone ahead with the instructions that were given to you, I don't think this situation would have arisen. It came as a complete shock. I'm sure all of you must have also felt it as a complete shock. They were dropping like 9 pins. I mean, it was really. I know I was not in the country when this entire pandemic, really, the situation which escalated to such an extent. But we got the news. I'm not going back. I'm going back to India only because I cannot stay for as long as I want in this country. It's not an indefinite period. I have to go back, but I have to be very, very careful. But the fact that, yes, I have got myself vaccinated, but still, that doesn't give you a license to roam around without a mask. No one can roam around without a mask, even when you're vaccinated. And I've been double vaccinated. But I am a citizen who is conscientious of the fact that I have to protect myself. I have to protect people around me, not only my family, but even friends. When I go out, I wear a mask. I do that social distancing. I don't stand, as close as this. I stand there. It is necessary for everyone to understand this situation. I know it's very simple to blame someone, but have you done your duty? You haven't. I'm not talking about you. I mean, I'm talking about the country as a whole. If people had actually adhered to the conditions that were laid down by the government, by the doctors, by the hospitals, I don't think this situation would have arisen. Why doesn't it happen anywhere else? Why is it not happening in Kerala? Why is it happening in Bangalore? Why is it happening in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, in Delhi? I mean, Uttar Pradesh, North is absolutely in the doldrums. Why? Because people think that, oh, nothing is going to happen to us. I went to Mathura to shoot for a film, and I was completely astonished. I was taken aback by the fact when people told me, "यहाँ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है सर, यहाँ लड्डू गोपाल हैं." What do you mean लड्डू गोपाल है यार? क्या मतलब क्या कर लेंगे लड्डू गोपाल? What will he do? नहीं, यहाँ सिर्फ 7 केसेस हैं. मैंने कहा अगर 7,000 हो जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे आप? लड्डू गोपाल को बुलाएंगे और लड्डू खाने के लिए. I mean, this is the kind of ignorance that people have in this country. Why? I tell them, we are not going to shoot till such time everyone is there on the set with a mask. We stopped shooting for a couple of hours because we wanted everyone in a mask. No one is going to take out the mask for the duration of the 12 hours that we shoot, except when you eat or drink. So, I mean, this is the kind of ignorance, this is the kind of, carelessness. Kuch nahi hoga. People are having parties, they're having weddings, 250, 300 people. Obviously, it's going to happen, yeah. So you have to be careful. You have to be conscious of the fact that you don't want to carry this burden on your head, that you have infected 20 people. Those 20 people will go and infect another 20 people. Obviously, it's going to increase, it's going to escalate. If everyone had to be conscious of the fact that, no, we are not going to do it, we are going to wear the mask. Whether we go out to buy vegetables or whether we go out to meet a friend, wear a mask and go. What difference does it make? You're not going to look bad. Your eyes are still sane. Your face may be covered, but then at least that gives you a protection. It gives the individual a protection. It gives your friends a protection. It gives your family a protection. If you do it, 10 other people will do it. You have to carry it forward. You cannot expect the others to, be there all the time for you. You cannot expect the doctors. You cannot expect the nurses. You cannot expect the hospitals to cope with the situation. We are a huge country, 1.3 billion. Only 3% have been vaccinated. Can you believe it? Now, when you don't have the vaccinations, you have to be careful that you have to wear a mask and go, period. Nobody is going to stop you. In fact, people will follow you. If you wear a mask, somebody else will say, see, he's wearing a mask. Why can't I wear one? Yeah. How do you pass on this legacy? How do you teach? You teach your kids at home, right? You teach them good values. You want your kids to grow up in an environment where you feel proud that, yes, he's my son, he's my daughter. Why can't you do the same thing to your fellow citizens? Is it that difficult to carry on something, to tell your friends, okay, Prerna will probably call Vrinda and say, Vrinda, please, yeah, when we meet now, please wear a mask and come. And when you go out, just wear a mask. Yeah. It's not asking for too much. When somebody asks you to come for a film, you run. But when somebody asks you to wear a mask, Arey nahi yaar, chhodna, kuch nahi hoga yaar. That is the kind of attitude that people have in this country. It is so difficult to understand this whole phenomena. I'm in Dubai. You walk in a mall for even 2 minutes without a mask, the security guy is going to come and fine you. It is impossible to even understand, to try and fathom why this situation in India. If you people, if the citizens of this country were conscious of the fact that, no, we cannot let this country go the way it is going. Look at the number of people who are dying. There's no oxygen. There's no oxygen concentrators. We are trying to do everything possible. I am a brand ambassador for something called Find a Bed. It's impossible to get one. I didn't get one when I got COVID last September. With great difficulty, pulling strings all over the place through doctors in that hospital, I found a bed. And when I found a bed, I was completely shocked out of my wits. In a hospital, which is a COVID hospital, where you don't have any kind of partitions between the people staying in that one room where we have 3 patients. I was in the middle, there were 2, one woman and one man. There was no social, there was no curtain there. Nobody was wearing a mask. So साला जिसको कोविड नहीं है उसको भी हो जाएगा कोविड. अगर ये सिचुएशन है इंडिया का, तो then I mean you really cannot blame the government. You have to blame yourself. So during the pandemic, of course, the second wave, I was taken aback, but then, well, it was a blessing in disguise as far as I was concerned. I went off to Turkey and I shot there. I was shooting there for a month. I was happy that I was shooting. I was also unhappy with the way things are going on in the film industry in the country, especially in Mumbai. Again, the same situation, which which was there last year when all the daily wage workers went back. It was an exodus. And calling them back was even worse because you never knew when they were, when you never know how and when this pandemic is going to get over. And again, the same situation as it is. And again, the same problem with people not adhering to the rules and the regulations that were formulated for people to wear a mask even during the shoots. नहीं यार कुछ नहीं होता है हम कर लेंगे ना कर लेंगे नहीं होता है. So I was happy that I was shooting. I was also unhappy that things were not happening in India, but at least I was working. I thank those stars that I worked, and I came to Dubai to relax for a while. My mind was completely screwed up because I lost few friends in this whole pandemic situation. Because you're not above this pandemic. You have to be very, very realistic. Even staying at home, you have to be extremely realistic of the fact that if you want to go out, you need to wear that mask and go out. You need to social distance. You need to do that. Really, it is extremely necessary. So on one side, I was happy that I was working. On the other side, I was unhappy that, the people, especially who matter in this film industry, which is the daily wage workers, were really in such a shit shape. Not only in the film industry, I'm talking even about theater. And theater has really been hit very, very hard. The backstage workers, the light guys, the people who iron the clothes. So we've started an initiative called Theater Dost, where we are trying to get people to try and feed certain number of families, try and get a certain amount for those families. So we are doing that. There's a very, very close friend of mine who was also in Razi, who played my elder son Ashwat Bhatt. He's there on Facebook all the time. He's trying to gather as much as possible. Theater Garage project is what he is doing at the moment to try and get those concentrators from Germany, from USA. We've been trying to get concentrators from everywhere. Look at Sonu Sood. When he's the one, he's like a messiah who's come. He's been there. He was there last year as well. He's going to be there this year as well for a very, very long time. So until and unless people are conscious of the fact that they want to do something for the society, it's not going to happen. So please, I once again tell all of you who are here, the 47 participants, including me, please do not take this lightly. Do not get onto the bandwagon to blame the government for everything that happens in this country. There are a lot of there are a lot of pros, but try and be realistic. I'm not saying take sides. I'm just saying that please be conscious of the fact that you, as a citizen of this country, will do exactly what the government has told you to do. Those rules have been laid down for the citizens of this country. So please. Whoa, I think I've spoken enough now.
Thank you, sir, for your, a very genuine and I think concern-oriented response, and the tone you carried while, answering this, I think communicates a lot. I mean, there is genuine concern. There is, that exactly a line where you said that is it is sense of belonging and responsibility only limited to recreational activities and not to such a pandemic where we are getting deaths and shocks every single moment. Like every single moment, somebody is dying, somebody is losing him or herself to shock or trauma or to some mental health issues. And where I agree to you that yes, the blame game cannot go for long, but I feel that there is also I would say a responsible act of awareness or education, because government proves this restrictions and everything while working in maybe metropolitan and some areas of which is semi-urban, right? But when we talk about India as a whole, I think we understand that metropolitan cities and semi-urban areas are only a part of it, like a small percentage, and a large population of India resides in the inner lands and even in islands that we can't even imagine of. And there is no act of awareness from our side as well. Like we did not, like for mental health, I see every day some or the other quack coming up or some or the other organization coming up and advocating how mental health is so important to consider in times like this. But where is the fact that we took that responsibility to educate those to
They know how to speak, they know how to talk, so that's why they keep using these words. But the rural India, who is going to support them? And on one side we have people like Sonu Sood who putting up plants, Ashwat Bhatt who gets his concentrators from Germany, from USA. On the other hand, there are people who are black marketing these cylinders to such an extent that it's unbelievable. They should be flogged and they should be put on behind bars, period. I do not accept the fact that you can sell a cylinder, an oxygen cylinder, which costs 500 rupees for a lakh, just to make a quick buck on somebody else's life. I mean, are these guys nuts? Sonu Sood is trying to put up a plant there in Andhra Pradesh. He's putting up 2 plants. Has he gone mad? He's trying to help on humanitarian grounds. He's trying to help the community. He's trying to help humanity. He's trying to help India. And on the other hand, there are people who are actually black marketing these products, the medical products. For what? Instead of saving somebody's life, you're trying to make a quick buck on that person's life. So who's going to explain to these people? Because they will turn around and say, it's none of your business. Please mind your own business. Yeah, I will mind my own business. But does your conscience really allow you to do that? I don't think so. But they're doing it to make that fast buck, because obviously everybody during the pandemic is not earning. But that's not the way to earn money on somebody else's life. How do you explain that? And who's going to explain to rural India? Who is going into the rural parts to explain? Because they're not going to get any money out of that. The money is going to come from metropolitan cities. The money is going to come from people who are in dire need. When you're in dire need, you do not look at that green note. You don't. You just want to save your life. Now, to save your life, you're paying someone a 1 lakh of rupees or 2 lakhs of rupees. The hospitals are charging huge amount of bills. Just because the metropolitan cities can pay, people in the metropolitan cities can pay. What about the rural guys, man? If they come to a metropolitan city to get themselves admitted into a hospital and get themselves cured, who's going to pay their bills? I mean, let's be clear. Are the citizens of India conscious of this or not? Do you want to help in building a stronger India? Yeah, I don't want to be a politician. I'm not talking like, I don't want to talk like a politician. But yes, it hurts me. And it has hurt me a great deal when I've come to know that people are charging these amounts of money for an oxygen cylinder where they can save somebody's life. Yes, Jigyasa, sorry, you were saying something. You're on mute.
You're muted.
I think this line just made sense that we have to build stronger India, and for you don't have to be a politician to advocate something which is this important. If we talk of community, we talk of community in every sense. When the question of marriage or question of particular gender, how to behave, how not to behave, and considering the other legalities, then when we are always referring to the community, like अगर लोग क्या कहेंगे, तो इधर क्यों नहीं हम उस चीज को इम्प्लाई कर रहे, बिकॉज यहाँ पे भी तो वही चीज हो रही है. That is like the main concern that I feel is there.
Log kya kahenge will be, a line where an individual will start wondering, लोग क्या कहेंगे, मैं ऐसे जाऊंगी या ऐसे जाऊंगा तो लोग क्या कहेंगे, मैं उसके साथ बात करूंगा या करूंगी तो लोग क्या कहेंगे, सोसाइटी क्या कहेगी. वो ठीक है, वो आपका निजी मामला है. When it comes to the India that we are talking about, when it comes to the kind of conscious efforts that each individual must make towards building a stronger India, a more considerate India, I think that is the key. Really, that is the key.
Indeed,
Indeed, that is very true, and very that is an appeal to all of us, that including ourselves, that we should take more accountability and be more empathetic towards the community and each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Accountability is a very, very important word in today's times. Really, you have to be accountable to your actions. You have to be accountable to what you do in life, vis-a-vis the kind of situation that we are going through in our country.
Correct. So now moving towards the more media aspects of the questions. So you have been working in the field of media since the last more than 2 decades, I believe. And it may sometimes get overwhelming for you to be in the platform or to be before the camera all the time. Do you think that sometimes media affects you negatively? And if yes, then how do you deal with it personally?
Well, Prerna, the question is very valid. But as far as I'm concerned, because I am a dedicated, I am a conscientious actor, I am focused and I am determined to give my best. It has really not overtaken my emotions at any given point of time, which means I have not been really overwhelmed. Yes, I've been overwhelmed when I worked probably for the very first time with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. And that came as a complete shock to me, because when I was told that you're going to have scenes with Mr. Bachchan, it really threw me completely. I was completely out of gear. That was the only time I was completely overwhelmed by the fact. But when I spoke to Govind Nihalani, who had done a film with Bachchan Saab, he told me, Shishir, do not go there as seeing Mr. Bachchan. His aura is too large. You will not be able to handle it. Go there with a mindset that he is another actor on set. And that is where I found myself a little grounded, but still overwhelmed by the fact that he's sitting there in front of me and I'm supposed to be doing my scenes with him. So when I started my scene, he said, sir, I will give you cues for you, but I expect the same. Who is going to say no? Whether it is Mr. Bachchan or whether it is anybody else, I do not say no. I'm an actor who goes there and gives cues even for the most junior in that particular scene. It doesn't really matter to me. I need to give my best. I need him to give his best. Why would I want to steal that moment from him? I do not want to do that. Overwhelmed? No, that was the only part. That was the only time I have been overwhelmed. I love the camera. I love the stage. I love being there in front of the camera. So for me, there is nothing negative that has come about in my life. But yes, there was a time when probably I did not get work, and that was the only negative feeling. I questioned myself. Am I good enough? Or am I really saturated as far as the channels are concerned? I asked my wife, please explain to me. I was very depressed. That was my most 11 months of my life when I was doing television was probably the worst 11 months of my life in terms of my professional career. So for me, acting is not only a passion, it is more than a passion. It has now become my profession. I've been a businessman all my life. I will remain a businessman. And I think that helps a great deal, being a businessman and being an actor. Because then, of course, you know, when you're an actor and when you want to do business with someone, you cry, and then you get your way around. So for me, that helps me a great deal. And I feel that any actor who wants to continue this profession must try and fall back on a second plan B, because you are not going to be there all your life. You have to take that, and it is for granted. Amitabh Bachchan is not going to be there for the rest of his life. At some point of time, he will fade. There are many actors who faded, but then you must have a plan B. So those 11 months probably were the most difficult 11 months of my life, where I questioned myself whether I should continue or not continue. But come the 12th month, and I am back on track. And since then, I have not looked back.
I think that is the commendable situation, because I think that's where your character of serenity and groundedness also reflects on camera. I mean, um, I am not lying or I'm not flattering or something. I respect media a lot, but whenever I get to know, okay, you are there in the movie, maybe it becomes one of the reason I go and watch that movie, or that OTT platform show, or that like there are some actors where you are compelled to watch because they offer that kind of aura, and I think you are no less than Bachchan sir, because for me you are very positive actor, because I completely relate to the situation. And I feel media is all about storytelling, and the way you tell the story um, is beautiful. I remember the scene we had discussed about it um, uh, before also, where you guide a young woman regarding pregnancy, and you are playing the role of a doctor, but there you just come across as a father, and or a prospective father. And trust me, that 11 minute monologue was beautiful.
Yes, I keep seeing that often. I keep trying to take tips from what I have said. I try to take tips from what the writer has written. And I have requested the writer to give me blanket permission to use those lines wherever I can, whenever I can. I've used those lines when I went to Baroda to a university called Parul University, where we had 2,000 students, uh, listening for this motivational talk. And I told Sandeep Balan, who had written those lines, I said, Sandeep, I am going to use these lines, whether you like it or not, because those lines are absolutely beautiful. And I think they make a lot of sense to a lot of people. It makes a lot of sense to me when I did that scene. I mean, I keep seeing that scene. I think it is, Jigyasa and Prerna, I think it is the determination of the individual. Whether you are an actor or whether you're working in an MNC or whether you have your own business, uh, maybe a cycle shop, it really doesn't matter. Maybe a mithai shop. No, have to have the determination to go ahead, to carry forward. I'm not talking about the legacy, I'm talking about yourself. You carry forward that, you have the determination, you get up early in the morning, you have to go and get those vegetables for your restaurant, you have to go and get the meat, you have to go and get the fish, you have to do it yourself. If you rely on somebody else and say, "Theek hai yaar, wo jaake le aayega na, kya problem, kya farak padta hai?" No, that's not the point. That is a wrong attitude completely. You want your restaurant to do well. Your name is on the chopping block. My face is on the chopping block if I don't, convey what the director wants me to convey or what the scripts want me to convey. If I'm not convinced of the fact, what I'm saying, how the hell am I going to convince the audience? The audience is never going to be convinced. I have to be convinced myself first. So you need to be determined. You need to have that focus. You need to have that inner focus. I'm not talking about the outer focus. When you're working, whether you're working in the industry or whether you're working in any walk of life, you need to have that focus. If you want to climb the ladder in an MNC, you need to be determined to climb that rung, one rung after the other. You need to do that. Whether you are a doctor, you have to study. I mean, doctors read like hell. They read books and books and books after books. Why? Because you need to progress, right? You need to get on. You can't stagnate. If you want to stagnate, then fine. I mean, it's your choice. But I think determination is the word here. If you are determined to do something and you make up your mind to do that, you will go ahead. You will go forward. And I'm sure about it.
That is absolutely true. But for most of us, we actually fail at having that sense of determination, or at points we tend to lose focus, and hence we end up feeling dejected that we're not getting the appropriate rewards for the kind of efforts we are putting in. So
Yeah,
that way,
Prerna, people are not born with a golden spoon. Nobody is given a platter. Those people who've been given a golden spoon and come with a platter are really, they haven't done much in life. If you go through the grind, if you struggle, if you try and create your own path, I think that is what is most important. There will be failures, you will fall. When you ride a cycle for the first time, you're 2 years old and your parents give you a bicycle, not a tricycle, and they say, okay, now go. You will fall, but then you get up and you want to ride that bicycle once again because you're determined not to fall again. So you need, I mean, people need to find their own paths. People need to find what they're good at. If you're good at something, just go for it. Doesn't matter. So what? Failure will come. But then you have to get up and say, no, I am going to do it. Come what may. Your friends will say, Chorna Prerna, don't do it, yaar. Why? Why do you want to do it when you know that you cannot do it? No, nothing doing. You have made up your mind, you want to do it, go ahead with it. Don't think you're I mean, I sometimes friends deter you from doing certain things. But if you have made up your mind and if you think you want to do it and you're good at it, just go for it.
Indeed. So, another, like, listening to this, I feel you must have kept your cast and crew quite motivated. And that's why the performances, around you are the best. And this brings me to a very, crucial question, that since we are a mental health organization, and we come across a lot of questions and stigma, right? And this brings me to the fact that you had also, portrayed one character where the character deals with, um, Alzheimer's as a part of, the growth and development. So, do you think that since it was an OTT platform show, do you think that has this benefited in some way or changed the mindset in certain way of the youngsters regarding certain issues, and or something which is related to mentality or calmness or personality development, which are core parts around mental health.
Jigyasa, I think last time also we spoke about this particular aspect, and I think where you mentioned the word negative. When you have a lot of negativity, you try and create that positivity all around you. We've had enough of negativity around us. We are still going to have a lot of negativity around us, and I think the only way to to overcome that negativity is to be positive. If you are going to be negative in your thoughts, if you're going to be negative in the way you think, then it's not going to help you. So when I was told that I have Alzheimer's, I wanted the writers to actually probe into the reason of my having Alzheimer's. You cannot be on the surface and say that you have Alzheimer's. People will not understand. I wanted them to go deeper into the issue of having Alzheimer's. How does one feel? On the surface, yes, one feels that, yes, I've got Alzheimer's. But what are the points that one has to look out for when you have Alzheimer's? How does one behave? Does it really help you in trying to seek help from somebody else? Or do you have to be as positive as I am now, even when you have, for example, cancer? There are lots of people who have overcome cancer. The only reason why they've overcome cancer is by being positive about the fact that, no, I want to live now. I don't want to go away. The moment you start thinking, the moment you have that at the back of your mind, you're just going to sink. You have to have friends, you have to have relatives who hold your hand and say, no, Ayushi, you're not going to die. You're going to be there. Hold my hand. Nothing is going to happen to you. We are going to see that everything that we can do, we will do for you. Until and unless you're positive in any walk of life. I'm not talking about just cancer. I'm talking about anything, even in your work ethics. If you've been fired by your boss one day, doesn't really matter. It's because you've done something wrong. But try and be positive. Come back the next day and say, I'm sorry. There are lots of people who do not say sorry, who do not want to apologize. They think they are above everything else. It's below their dignity. It will hurt their ego. No, please do not do that. The moment you do that, you're just going to sink. You're going to brood. And once that brooding comes in, once that depression comes in, it's going to be very hard for people to get out of the depression. How do you get out of the depression? By being positive. And how do you get positive? By talking to your friends, by saying, I'm sorry, yaar, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Please, let's be friends again. Sir, I'm really sorry. I will not do this mistake again. Once you get into that mental health situation, and you're just going to sink. So rather than that, be as positive as you can in life. Look at, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, man. I'm telling you. Always. However long that tunnel is, there's going to be light at the end of that tunnel. Lots of people think that, nahi yaar, khatam ho gayi. मेरी जिंदगी खत्म हो गई. नहीं होती है जिंदगी खत्म. अगर आप लोग ऐसा सोचेंगे तो फिर कुछ नहीं होगा. And you are the youth of today. I am there. I also need to talk to people. I need to give them that positive energy. Because if I give you the positive energy, I get energized. And I want to talk. Do not feel hesitant at all. Talk to your friends. The biggest problem in this country is kids and parents do not interact with each other. Everybody thinks that, no, I will try and solve this problem on my own. No, it doesn't happen, man. You need to talk. Whether your friends, whether your kids, whether your parents, whether your grandparents, you just need to talk. If you have a problem, you need to talk. If you really seriously want to talk and go ahead with it, I'm sure, and I'm guaranteeing you that you will bypass all those mental issues that you may have, or that you think you have. It's very important for people to talk. The more you talk, the more it is going to be helpful, not only for the parents, not only for the friends, but even for your own mental state. It's extremely important. I've done a video. I don't know whether how many of you have seen that video or not, but it is 6 actors talking, talking to camera, trying to tell the students, trying to tell the sons, the daughters, the people who want to talk, come and talk to us. We are more than helpful. We want to be more than helpful to you. We want to be positive. And that is where you have mental issues. That is where people think that we can solve everything by ourselves. It doesn't happen. Your brain will not be able to do it. You need to talk. But the reason why you don't want to talk is because either you're shy of talking or you don't want to disclose what the problem is because people will talk again. Log kya kahenge? That's the whole issue. Log kya kahenge? Are, if you don't talk, how are people going to know? How are your friends going to know? How are your parents going to know? If you're going to keep everything inside, you're going to keep brooding every morning. And when your parents come and ask, okay, Jigyasa, what's the problem? Nahi, kuch nahi, dad, it's okay. Don't worry. I will look after it. No, that doesn't happen. Until Jigyasa talks, Satish Saab talks, it's not going to happen. You have to be mentally prepared. Everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. But nobody wants to get into a depressive state of mind. The moment you get into a depressive state of mind, how do you get out of it? Then you fight yourself. Then you say, oh shit, I wish I had spoken to Satish Saab about this. I'm sure he would have given me a better piece of advice. So I think it is necessary for people to understand your own minds. I mean, do not feel shy to talk. I am there. If anybody wants to talk to me, you're most welcome to talk to me. And I will keep this confidential as much as possible. I'm not a doctor. I'm a person who's seen probably a little bit of life. I'm 66 years of age. I've seen life. I have met a lot of people. I have 2 daughters who've grown up with me, and that is why we are friends. Yes, I am their father. They are my daughters, but we treat each other as friends. We talk to each other as friends. We have arguments, we have fights, we shout at each other. But the next morning, it's all back to being father and daughter, to being friends. We went out our displeasure over certain things. They have kids. They want to bring up their kids in a particular manner. We don't think that is the right manner, but next morning it's fine. Okay, you want to bring them up the way you want, but this is how we feel. We've seen life. We've brought you up into this world, and you've grown up in front of us. We want you to do the same things that we've done for you. But today's kids, when they bring up kids, they want to do it themselves. They want to do it the way they think is the right manner. Okay, fine, go ahead with it. But you have to talk. You have to tell them. You cannot keep everything within you. You have fights with your wife. You have fights all the time. There's always an up and down. Nothing is hunky-dory in life. So I think it is necessary for people to come forth and talk. That is the bottom line. If you talk, I think you are on a very, very good wicket.
Right, sir. Very, very well put out. Sagar, this side, sir. I hope you remember me.
Yes, Sagar. Yes, absolutely.
And just like you have filled our lives with so many movies and colors. I tried to bring in some color in my life by breaking my camera. So moving on to a lighter note, sir. Like you
I can see
have
a lot
been
of color on your screen.
right, and there is a change avatar. Like I've just shaved and also so I'm finding
Lovely.
myself to be very different as well. Uh, so my question to you, sir, is that you have worked in myriad of films and you have had numerous roles, right? But there must be some roles that stick with you for a very long time, right? So what has been your most memorable role, and how it has impacted you personally, whether it be like you learn from it, or probably it changed your lifestyle or the way you look at things. So that's my question to you.
Thank you very much for asking that question. I mean, there's only one answer for that question, and there's only one word I will say for that question: Razi. It has, I don't know. I mean, I thought after Talwar, people will consider me as a competent actor. It didn't happen. I thought I'll get a lot of work after Talwar. It didn't happen. But I was very, very satisfied with that film. I think it is probably one of the best uh, films made on a high profile case, and a very, very sensitive case to that. Most of you probably know about it. It was the Arushi murder case that happened in Delhi, in Noida in 2008. But come Razi, and suddenly perspective, not only my perspective, I think the perspective of the audience, of people who saw the film, completely changed, of course, for the better. They thought that I was more than a competent actor, and that gave me a lot of happiness. Uh, People still remember me from a show that I did called Swabiman, where I walk on the road and suddenly somebody says, "Hey, KD Saxena, how are you?" So it gives me a great feeling. It fills me up to such an extent, and I'm choking at the moment. It you have no idea how that feeling is. Yeah, Razi is now, but Swabiman was 1994, 95. 25 years later, if somebody walks up to you and says, "Aren't you KD Saxena?" It just it is overwhelming. Razi, yes, changed my life completely, from being an actor to being a person who's recognizable now, who is probably on a wicket, on a plane where one can say, yes, I have done probably one of the best films, one of the most iconic films this country has ever made. That was, and I'm proud of the fact that starting the Mericom came, Dangal came, Talwar, Razi, Uri, and Chijore. I mean, these six films, uh, being a part of such fantastic films, gives me goosebumps, and I've still got goosebumps going. So, yes, it has impacted my life to a great, great extent. I am still grounded. I am not flying. There's still a lot of work to be done. I'm still striving to be that perfect actor, and I cannot be, because there is no finality to an actor. An actor always searches for more and more fodder the next time he goes onto the set. He searches for more and more satisfaction. There are actors whom you've never worked with. I worked with Mr. Nasiruddin Shah in a short film called Rogan Josh.
Yes, sir.
That gave me a sense of belonging to this fraternity, because I worked with one of the finest actors India has ever produced. He's my idol. I will always look up to him as an actor par excellence. I've seen most of his films, and working with him in the same frame was exceptional. Then comes Irfan Khan, with whom I worked in Talwar. So these people have actually impacted my life to a great, great extent. I have seen them, I have seen their dedication, I have seen their commitment, I've seen their focus. And I think it is probably one of the best reasons for me to be where I am today. Razi, of course, and I thank Meghna Gulzar to a great extent for having, even offered the role to me after Talwar. And it came as a surprise, it came as a shock to me for handling Brigadier Sayed. And that's where I found myself to be more of a dedicated actor, more of a actor with a lot of focus, determination, and discipline. Because if you're not, and if you don't have any of these four ingredients, I don't think uh, you can really progress. So yes, Sagar, I think Razi is the film that has impacted me the most in terms of me being an actor, in terms of the people's perspective of me as an actor. And I think I will not say I have arrived. I will say, yes, I am halfway there. There's still a long, long road to go.
That is really humble of you to say. And I don't think there was anybody else who would play that part better than you have. And even watching those roles, you are talking about your own experience and being vulnerable with us about how it brings goosebumps. The fact that it catch the audience's attention and it brought even goosebumps to us is because you were playing that part so perfectly. So thank you so much for giving us that part.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Prerna, for saying that. But I think it was also because the actors on that set were so conscious of the fact that they have to do a good film. They have to give their best. And when you have Meghna Gulzar at the helm, you cannot you cannot go wrong. You cannot be non-disciplined. You cannot be non-committed. You cannot be non-focused. You have to be not only inner focused but outer focus as well. Yes, there are lots of funs and games, and yeah, every set has that. But when you're on set, you need to be there. You need to be Brigadier Sayyid. You forget Shishir Sharma completely. So that is what Meghna Gulzar brings to the set. That is what Nitesh Tiwari brought to the set of Chichore. That is what Aditya Dhar brought to the set of Uri. We were. I was the Indian general when I played in Uri. I was not Shishir Sharma. The moment you wear that costume, you transform yourself to such an extent. It is unbelievable. Whether it is a pajama kurta or whether it is just a topi, you just transform yourself. And suddenly you feel that you are the character that you're playing. And that is where the determination and that is where the discipline and that is where the focus comes in. And the commitment, of course.
Yes, that is very true. There are some of the participants also who would like to ask the questions, and also, would you be open to that? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the fun part.
Yeah. So I would like to start with Pranav sir because he's been waiting for quite some time. Yeah.
Yes, Pranav, how are you?
Hi, sir. How are you? How are you?
I'm very well,
Remember?
thank you. How are you? Yes,
I'm glad.
yes, of course. Yes.
So, a small question. Even in those times of 11 months of downfall, when the 12th month came, or that particular movie or that role that you finally was in your jhola, finally you got it. Even at that moment, were you having some negative self-talk? Because even if you get that role, dimag mein hota hai ki, am I good enough? Can I do this?
Very
Was
true,
it
very
there?
true, very true.
And
I think it's a very
how
yeah.
did
I
you
think
overcome?
it's an excellent question because even then, when I was leaving home, going for that shoot, I was wondering whether I would be able to carry forward that particular character, whether the producers, whether the director, whether the cast will be happy with me because I was coming back after 11 months. 11 months is a long time. Not that you forget acting. It's not that simple. I mean, once you start driving, you will never forget driving. Once you start bicycling, you'll never forget bicycling. So the same way, once you start acting, and since one had acted for so many years, but yes, it left a lot of questions in my mind. When I came back home after the shoot, I was just hoping that I would be called and told that your call time is so and so the next day as well. So yes, that comes with any part that you do with anybody that calls you back. But after 11 months, I was a little skeptical about my own self. But on the hindsight and on the flip side of the coin, I had my business. So I tried to focus a lot on my business and not think too much about those 11 months that I've not been acting. So my wife told me, just try and focus on the business, try and be with dad as much as you can. Yes, once you get back home and once you're with your wife, you tend to talk about those 11 months, but yeah, you can't help it. Thank you very much for asking that question. And I think it's bringing back memories to me. I don't remember what the show was after those 11 months, but yes, I was quite, scared, if I may use that word, to go back home and wait for that call in the night from the direction team saying, "Sir, your call time tomorrow is 9 o'clock."
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering.
Please, my pleasure, absolutely. Yes, Ayushi, who's going?
Okay, hello. First of all, very good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I wanted to ask, as being an actor, you have to go through many kind of certain roles, and being a part of an acting, when you have to play a different kind of character's role. So first of all, we should be, to play a certain character role, we should feel the character. We should, we should feel as we are the character, and we can relate. Then only we can play the best role to showcase. So like in different type of movies, you get different type of roles. Some like some roles are negative, and some roles which uh, some roles are very negative, and after the shooting is done, we some or the other how we have some impact in our mind. So as we all know, Deepika was a victim of depression also. So like being a part of certain role which give us impact in our mind after shooting is done and everything. So how we can deal with it?
I think you have to just leave that character where you started off. You can't bring that character home. You've got to change once you change your costume, you're back to yourself. You're back to Shishir Sharma. And I am not Brigadier Sayed at home. I cannot be. I cannot take that character home. Otherwise, I'm going to ruin my personal life completely with my family. So, as you rightly put, when you get more characters to do, you need to study those characters. You need to go through a lot in terms of how those characters behave, what kind of body language, how do they talk. I did the same thing when I went through Brigadier Sayed, because he was a Pakistani general. So I wanted to know how the Pakistani generals behave actually. What is their way of speaking? How do they stand? Uh, in Pakistan, as you must have probably seen in Razi, as in India, uh, the daughters come and touch your feet. The elders, when you're married, when you come home, the daughter-in-law comes and touches the mother's feet or the father's feet. But as in Pakistan, when she did that, you're not supposed to do that in Pakistan. That's a completely different religion. So you need to be aware of these kind of facts. And once you leave the set, once you finish, pack up at 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever time you pack up, you leave that costume there. With that costume, you leave the character, and then you're back to Shishir Sharma, coming back home to his family. Otherwise, uh, it may impact the family, you know, your relationship with your children, with your wife, with your people at home. So I think that is very necessary.
So, I am also an aspiring actress. So, will you just suggest me like how to start this career, or is it necessary to take some training for acting or something like that?
Well, Rabneet, sorry. Well, if you really are serious about acting, do not flirt with acting. One, first of all. Secondly, acting सिखाई नहीं जा सकती,
Yeah.
सीखी जरूर जा सकती है. तो जब आप डिसाइड करते हैं कि मुझे एक्टिंग करनी है, तो आप अपने मन में क्या सोचते हैं, क्या करना चाहते हैं? Whether it be you, whether it be anybody else, you need to be very focused. You need to have these 3 4 ingredients while you think you want to become an actor: dedication, determination, focus, and commitment. If you have them, I think you can go ahead, but do not flirt with acting. Don't think that acting is like khane ka laddu. No, it is not. It's a lot of hard work. You must go through that grind. You must go through the struggle to understand what an actor goes through. There are lots of actors who probably have a golden spoon and get it on a platter, but that is just a handful. You need to be focused to understand that there are hardships. It's not just the film industry. I think any walk of life, any you go to an MNC, you go and give an interview, you get disappointed, you come back home, you study harder, you go back again for the interview, again you get rejected, again you come back home. Do not feel rejected. Do not feel completely, people get disillusioned by the fact that if you don't get anything in this film industry because you come with aspiring thoughts from your hometown or wherever you are coming from, you've told your parents that you're going and wanting to become an actor. It's not that simple. First of all, staying in a city like Mumbai is not simple. I am not trying to dissuade you. Please try and understand that. But it is just the hard life that you have to go through. One has gone through that hard life. You have to go through that hard life. Nothing comes easy. Success does not come easy to you. To anyone, you need to work, and you need to work very hard to get that success. You need to be focused to get that success.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, training is necessary. Training is necessary. If you can, where are you? Where do you stay? Are you from Delhi or from which part of India? From Nagpur.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there is any training institute in Nagpur or whether there are any academies in Nagpur. But yes, if there are, I think you should. But if you want to become an actor, start reading a lot of Hindi prose. The simplest form of reading Hindi prose is by Munshi Premchand. Pick up any one of his books and just read Munshi Premchand. I subscribe to the fact that until and unless you read Munshi Premchand, you will not understand what Hindi is. It's the most subtle, easy, understandable Hindi that you can come across.
Yes, that is a very valuable advice, sir. Thank you so much. I think next Ayushi can ask a question.
Yes, Ayushi.
Hi, sir. It's a great honor to talk to you and ask you a question.
Thank you.
I would
Thank you
like
so
to
much.
ask you a question regarding, we talked about struggling and working hard to reach a certain amount of success. For that, is it okay to, shamefully chase opportunities rather than, expecting opportunities to find you? I mean, if I send my CV to a lot of internships and I really want opportunities to work somewhere. And as a law student, I want to go to the courts, I want to accompany lawyers, and I want to get there where I want to. So is it okay if I find opportunities, or is it like, do I have to wait for something to come to me?
Never wait. Nothing comes to you. Nothing is given to you. You have to shamefully chase those opportunities. If you have them, just chase them. Doesn't really matter. I mean, you're not degrading yourself. If you think that your ego is going to be hurt, then forget about it. And if you think that your ego is not going to be hurt, just chase them shamelessly. And if you think you're good at it, just go for it. Doesn't really matter. I mean, okay, fine. One company will probably say, no, I'm sorry. The second company will probably say no. But after the fourth company, you just might get an opportunity. So why do you want to wait for the opportunity to come from the fourth company rather than going to the fourth company? How do you know that you will not be accepted? Until and unless you actually try to go there, you will not know whether you're accepted or not. So just chase those opportunities. Just, people come to Mumbai to chase their dreams. It is a city of dreams. I understand that. But you cannot lie low and say, okay, opportunities are going to come to me. I am the best. I'm going to lie down here in my bed and I'm going to wait for those opportunities to knock at my door. No, they don't. You have to go and knock at the door. If you have that ego problem, forget about it. If you don't have that ego problem, just shamelessly knock at their door and say, sir, can I come in? I'd like to talk to you about something, or I would like to give you my resume. Would you like to look at it? Shamelessly. Because they are not going to come to you. They don't know who Ayushi Sharma is. But you know who they are. You want to go to them. You want to try and get an opportunity to work in a particular firm. Even as an intern, it doesn't really matter. But you need to go there. They're not going to come to you. So don't feel shy. Don't feel dejected. Don't feel rejected. Don't be disillusioned. There will be failures in life. Everyone does go through that. But if you're not, if you're going to be conscious of the fact that, oh shit, when I go back home, what am I going to tell my parents? I failed. Doesn't really matter. You're big enough. That is why I say that mental health situation comes in now. Even if you fail and you go back home and tell your parents that you failed, do not be scared to tell them. Because if you're going to keep it within you, you're never going to be able to tell your parents later on that, you went for this interview and you failed. So it's best to bring it out then. It's best to confront the possibility of going back again. Confront it with your parents, confront it for yourself. Your conscience will be clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Who would like to go next?
पहले sir से पूछिए. Sir, you will be willing to take more questions?
Yeah, I have ample time. I'm doing nothing at all in Dubai.
Okay. So we have one of the youngest members of the internship,
Yes.
and I just want to like convey that I feel I have 312 standard people in the internship, and it is amazing to know their views. I mean, like it just reflects that, it gives me a shocker that how they are more enlightened and how they code, how they present their ideas, and they're amazing at it. And one of two of them are here, and one of them would like to like ask a question. So Hosanna,
Yes, Hosanna.
Hosanna, but you are not audible. Again,
You're
not
still not
audible.
audible.
There's some problem with her system.
Hosanna, just take off.
Take off your earphones. Maybe then it will come. Yeah. Yeah, it's now.
Just a bit louder.
Is this okay now? Am I audible now?
Yes. Hosanna, just be a little louder.
Yeah. So my question is that nowadays everybody is getting into direction, production, basically multitasking in the same industry, in their profession. So has it ever influenced you, whether positively or negatively, seeing that people younger than you or older than you or anybody around you is kind of getting involved in more stuff? Like,
No, I think it is good that people get involved with more stuff. But then I also on the flip side of the coin feel that probably they think they're not good at one particular job, so that's why they're hopping from one to the other. They have to concentrate on just being either in the direction team or in the production team, because they're two different, completely two varied parts of the film industry. So I think it is necessary. As an actor, cannot do production. I cannot do direction, because I'd like to concentrate on what I am doing as an actor. So if you concentrate more about doing what you are wanting to do and not dabble with so many other aspects of the film industry, like direction and production and costume and many other things, I don't think it is necessary. I think you need to concentrate on one particular aspect, and that it will help you go a lot further in life, rather than dabble with a lot of things, because then you're left with what choice are you left with when you get back home? Are you happy doing more than one thing, or you're going to be happy doing one thing and concentrating on that? Would you like to actually perfect that particular aspect of or that department of the industry, rather than dabble with production and direction and costume? And you're going to get muddled completely, because the next morning when you go there, people are going to ask you, okay, Hosanna, did you have you noted down the continuity? No sir, I was doing production. What does it mean? Which means you're not concentrating on what you were hired for. You probably hired for the direction, and then you're doing production as well. So somebody is going to ask you, what about costume? You're going to say, no, sorry, I did not look at costume. I was looking at direction. It doesn't happen that way. I think it is necessary to just concentrate on one rather than dabble with more than one. Just because you have the time doesn't mean that you need to dabble. If you have the time, try and concentrate on that one particular aspect and see, go deeper into what direction is all about. If you're in production, go deeper into what production is all about. Because it's just not holding the clapperboard and saying, okay, whatever you have to say as a clapper person. You need to go deeper into the direction. You need to see how the director actually conducts the film. So I think it is necessary for any individual to try and work on one particular aspect rather than dabble with more than one.
Right.
Also, as an
Agreeing
aspiring writer.
agreeing to your point. Okay, I think Hosanna is saying something. Sorry.
Yes.
I have one more question. As an
Yes.
aspiring writer, a story means a lot to me. And my
Yes.
question is, as an actor, how do you recognize a good story, or you take part of it, or help improve the writers?
Hosanna, as far as I'm concerned, and if I'm going to talk only about myself, I think it is completely instinctive. If you narrate a story to me, and if I feel from within that yes, I need to do that story, I will do it, irrespective of the fact what the end of the story is. But the very first impression of me about you or about the story is my lasting impression about you and about the story. If you do not catch the audience in the first 10 minutes of a particular web series, you've lost that audience. In the same manner, if I'm not keen or if I don't get hooked on to how you narrate the story, it is also how you narrate the story. It's not just giving me the script and me reading the script. I would like you to narrate the story to me for me to get hooked onto the story and the way you narrate it. So I think it is necessary. And as far as I'm concerned, it is completely instinctive. Whether it is a 1 minute role or whether it is the entire length of the film, I need to know, of course, but then I'm also very instinctive in deciding what I want to do and how I want to do it, whether I want to do it or not.
Thank you so much, sir.
I just want to add one thing. So when you mentioned that you should concentrate on one thing, sadly, in most of our professions, like what we are doing, we are hired not for a specialty, but how many roles can we satisfy in the absence of other people. So I think over the period of time, with that kind of evolution, we have been at a troubling point because we are expected to teach. Also, then like personally, I'm speaking from my experience. Like I'm a psychologist, but I'm considered, that I should participate in teaching, also training, also taking therapy, also, and attend, give sessions, also, and and that way you come across so much of contradiction, because at one place you are addressing one issue and the other you are supporting the opposite point that you just said in another scenario, and it becomes so much conflicting on oneself that it puts so much of pressure that are we doing the right thing or not.
Correct.
So
The only problem in the film industry is that I do not know too much about production and I do not know too much about costume. I do not know too much about direction. So I'd rather just shut my mouth and do what I am, hired for, rather than poke my fingers into somebody else's pie. I don't feel like doing that. Let them also eat. Let me also be satisfied with what I'm doing. Unfortunately, in your profession, yes, you may have to multitask, and you may have to do something which probably you don't want to do, and you contradict yourselves while teaching or while explaining something or while doing a particular subject. But in the film industry, thankfully we are not told as actors to also direct or to also do costumes and to also do lighting and to also do camera work. No, I think we are on a much different level here. Much it's a different wicket, if I may call it. It's not the green top, it's the brown top. So I'm happy that we are not on the green top.
So, shall we take one last question?
Yes, please. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer whoever wants to
Prashant,
ask a question.
would you like to go for it?
Geetika, you can go.
Anyone?
Yes, Geetika.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Geetika.
Sir, I wanted to ask that even at your lowest, what stopped you from giving up?
Sorry, I didn't understand that question.
Okay. Sir, I mean, even at your lowest, what stopped you from giving up? What one thing?
You're talking about those 11 months
Yes, sir.
that I did not get work. No, I knew that I wanted to continue with acting, and I knew that at some given point of time I will come back, but I didn't know how long. And fortunately for me, as I said, I could rely on Plan B, which was my business. So that really took away a lot of my mind from the aspect of those 11 months. I didn't want to give up. I had worked very hard in this industry. I tried to make a name for myself. I tried to be uh, competent enough for people to come back to me. And I knew that at some point I will, but I didn't know when. That point came only after 11 months, and I was shit scared even after 11 months. I didn't want to give up. I was not made to give up, and I don't think anybody should give up. Yes, there are lots of failures, there's lots of rejections, but please do not give up. There's a lot that is still left. There's a lot to do, and I know most of you can do it. So if you have strong willpower, just I just give you an instance. Uh, I started smoking at the age of 13 in a school called Rishi Valley School, which is in the southern part of India. And I smoked till the age of 52. How many years did that make it? Whatever, 40 years, probably. I screwed up my body so beautifully. 12th of April, 2007, me and Manoj Bajpayee drank and smoked our lungs out. The next day, I was so sick, so sick. From the 13th of April, 2007, till today, 2021, which is the 28th of May, 2021, I haven't touched a single cigarette. It's only because of my willpower. I know that if I had to touch, I would go back to it, and I didn't want to do that. I have not done 2 films because somebody told me, the director and the producer told me, sir, you have to change smoke. And I said, no, I'm not going to. I don't mind leaving the film, but I will not smoke. The web series that I've done, one web series that's called The Ghost Thesis, they told me, sir, you have to smoke a cigar. I said, listen, I will drop the show, but I will not smoke. Sir, please, 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 just one drag. Just light the cigar and keep it down. With great difficulty, putting that cigar to my lips was, killing me 1,000 times. But I did it. So if you have the willpower to do something in life, you will definitely be able to do it. Do not feel dejected. Do not feel rejected, and do not be disillusioned that you cannot do it. Every individual can do it, but you need to have that mindset. You need to have that willpower to do it.
Thank you, sir. So grateful to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Geetika. Thank you.
Before we conclude, I think I am looking forward to Kalyani's question. Also, so Kalyani, shoot your question.
Thank you for the confidence, Tikasha ma'am. Also, it's so amazing to talk to you, sir, one-on-one. Never thought I would be able to do it.
Thank you, Kalani.
So my question is, the way we have looked up to films and to actor has changed over a period of time. I'm 21 years old, and the way I looked at actors back then and the way people around me looked at actors back then has changed so much. Now we look for more real characters. So has that change also come from your side? Do you also expect different things from the audience now?
Yes, I think the perspective of the audience has changed dramatically and considerably, considering that there's so much good content that is now coming out. And with the advent of the web series, I think that is what has brought about the change that the audience wants to see. Audience has got tired of seeing people running around trees, doing the same Sas Bahu rubbish. Can you imagine Nagin being the number one show in this country? I mean, I am appalled. I do not understand the sensibilities of the Indian audiences. They're doing Nagin number 4. I don't know. I think they'll probably go to Nagin number 20. By the time there'll be 20 Nagins hovering around the first Nagin. I mean, this is ridiculous. I do not understand the sensibilities. And that is why I think with the advent of the web series, there's a lot of good content that is coming. I'm not saying every web series is good. There's a lot to be desired. You cannot titillate the audience just because you want TRPs on that particular web series. You cannot bring in violence, you cannot bring in sex, and you cannot bring in foul language just because there is no censorship in this country or there's no censorship on the internet. But there are some very, very good content web series as well. There are web series where you have the foul language, you have the sex, and you have the violence, but that does not take away from the story. The story still happens to be there. When you take away from the story and when you want to titillate the audience, that is where I think is completely wrong. So because of the advent, because of the good content, I'm not talking about television. Television in India is, for me, as far as I'm concerned, completely closed. If people can think Nagin is the best show in this country, then I don't think I need to be even associated with television. Although I have been associated with them, with television for 23 long years. But that's because I was not getting the kind of work that I wanted to do in films. That's my own undoing, probably. But that's okay. That's fine. I'm happy with that. But to see shows like Nagin getting the number one spot in this country really is appalling. So let's not talk about television. Advent of films, yes, good films are coming. You've seen Chichore, you've seen Uri, you've seen Razi, you've seen a lot, you've seen Badai Ho, you've seen so many good films come into the picture. And people are actually appreciating those kind of films. There are lots of short films that are being shot these days. The directors or the producers or the actors want to experiment with short films before they get onto the bigger screen. So there is a conscious effort to bring in good content. And that is a heartening fact. That is so heartening to learn that there are young directors who come to you and say, sir, this is my first shot at direction. Would you like to be a part of it? And sometimes I say yes. And I have said yes. There's a short film called Backfoot, which is on YouTube. You must watch it. It's about a son and a father, where the son asks the father, have you ever been proud of me in your life? And I will not tell you the story of that. You have to watch it. It's a beautiful short film, which we shot for 5 hours from 10 o'clock in the night till 3 o'clock in the morning in a park in Goregaon East. But it's such a beautiful short film. They were doing it for the first time. And I did not mind it. And they were level-headed. They knew exactly what they were doing. But this mindless rubbish that is being portrayed on television is appalling. Mindless, completely mindless. I will give you a story about, I'm not going to name the person, but it is so sad when you talk about a figure like Munshi Premchand. So there was a meeting that was happening in this production house, and the writer said, I have a very, very good story. I think we should, take this on forward and try and serialize it. And so the person asked, who's the writer? So this guy said, Munshi Premchand. Okay, please call him. Call him from where? He's bloody dead 55 years back, man. This is the kind of ignorance that people have in this industry, and they still want to deliver something which is mindless in this country. Can you even imagine Munshi Premchand, who has gone 57 years back? You don't even know who Munshi Premchand is. And if I talk about Bhavani Prasad Mishra, they say, oh, is he his cousin? I mean, how do you even explain this situation to people? Either you are mad or I am completely bonkers. To even think that a show like Nagin can, oh my goodness. So yes, I think the perspective of the audience has changed. My perspective of the people who bring in content has changed completely. And that is why I feel so happy and so elated when people come to me and say, sir, this is a story. We are sending you the story. If you like it, please let us talk further. If you don't like it, please tell us why you didn't like it. Okay, fine. Fair enough, man. You've got to be honest. You cannot cajole a person and say, "Aye, nahi yaar, bahut achhi thi, lekin mere paas kya hai na, waqt nahi hai." That is another way of putting it. When you don't like something, when you don't like a friend, you say, "Nahi, chhod na yaar, kal mil lete hain usse." So you try and shirk this entire, responsibility that you have towards somebody. If you can help somebody, why not? If you can't, tell them, sorry, I didn't like it for these kind of points, but next time we will definitely work. I do not I do not want to have any enmity between myself and the person who's asking me for a particular story. I'd like to go back to him and say, let's have a cup of chai. That is my way of thinking, and that's the way I would like to carry on this profession and me as an actor. If Kalyani writes something and says, so I have written something, will you please read it? Of course I will read it. If Hosana says, I've written something, of course I will read it. It's not necessary that I will like it, but I will read it. And I will not in any way, antagonize you, saying that let's not talk about it. Keep and close the chapter there. No, I'll say, yes, Kalyani, I will come. We will have a cup of coffee together. We'll talk about it. So it all depends on the individual, actually. I mean, I'm just talking from my point of view. But yes, perspective of the audience has changed dramatically and drastically. Thank you. Thanks for the content and the writers who come up with believable content and not
so
mindless
beautifully.
content.
That's a great way to put forward the suggestion as well, that I can actually contemplate on. So basically, there are people, and I guess the way to perceive and take in the positive criticism is also what we are lacking nowadays. And that's a great suggestion, that let's have a cup of coffee or a tea, then where we can discuss about it. So with that, moving forward, I like to take the question from Swapnila. Swapnila, you may ask the question to sir.
So, Prila, before you say something, I just, because Sagar has mentioned something about criticism, it is extremely important for people who are in this industry to take criticism in a positive manner,
Right.
and not in a negative manner. Yes, you may not be good. So what? I mean, everybody is not good every time.
Right.
If somebody tells me, no, sir, I don't think you portrayed the character in Chichore probably that well. Okay, fine. Maybe I was told to portray it that way by the director, and I did not convey it uh, enough to the audience. Yes, I'll try and improve upon my skills as an actor the next time I do a doctor's role.
Right.
But there are a lot of people who do not want to take criticism, who think that, it's below their dignity to be told, and it hurts their ego to a great extent. Hey, how can Sagar tell me, yeah, come on, what does he know about acting? How does he know that what I have done is not good enough? So I think it really depends on how you put it, whom you put it to, what kind of temperament that person has, whether he will slap Sagar and say, get out of my sight right now. I don't want to listen to any criticism from you. So Sagar will have to just bow down and say, sorry, sir, and leave. That's it. Yes, Swapnila.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay. At first, I thought I lost my chance to ask a question. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Not at all. Pleasure.
Yeah. Sir, so my question is, we know you as an actor. Now we are having a candid conversation with you. Now we know you as a person also, a bit about you. But how was Shishir Sharma as a kid? Growing up, what was your experience, or what is the most mysterious thing that you have done?
There was nothing mysterious about Shishir Sharma. He was a very shy child. I went to a school called Rishi Valley School, which was in the southern part of India. The school was started by one of the greatest philosophers the world has seen, Mr. G.D. Krishnamurti and Dr. Annie Besant. So I was an extremely shy kid, never would put up my hand to ask a question. I think that was my wrongdoing in so many ways growing up. Never would talk to my parents. The only time I spoke to my father, I told him I want to leave the school and I want to come back. That was at the age of 13. I went when I was 6 to that school. And it took me 7, 8 years to actually voice my opinion about the school and about me coming back. So I was a very, very shy kid. Uh, I used to do my work. I used to never stand up in class. We used to have only 15 students in the classroom. So there was a lot of attention given. The teachers knew the students by their first names. So I was scared that somebody would ask me a question and I would not be able to reply. So I was that kind of a kid, unfortunately or fortunately. But theater has given me a lot of confidence in talking to an audience, in trying to explain my point of view, in trying to explain what things are in life, just like we're talking today. But if you had to talk to me maybe about 25 years back, I wouldn't have been able to talk to you. I did not have the confidence. I did not understand how to speak to people. I did not understand how to formulate my words, my sentences. So yes, as a child, I was very shy, very, very shy. Unfortunately, I don't have any photographs. Otherwise, I would have, put it up on the screen here. I've lost all my photographs because there was a huge mini tsunami that hit Mumbai in 2005, where we lost a lot of photographs. So I have even lost my marriage album. And I tell my wife, I don't know you. There's no proof. So just leave me alone. So yeah, I was extremely shy, Swapnila. I don't remember me being bold enough even to ask my teachers something wrong that I've done in my text, in my notebook. I didn't have the courage to do that. I was extremely shy.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very nice talk to you. And I would like to show my gratitude towards Science-Fi for giving us such a sci-fi for giving us such a big opportunity to get connected to you.
The only time I actually stood up and told my parents was in the 11th standard that I like this girl and we're going around. That was the only time I actually stood up and said, no, I'm going to marry this girl. And she is my loyal wedded wife. So we stuck around. She was I was in the 11th, she was in the 9th. So that was the only time I really had the courage to say, yeah, I am in love.
That's so
Quite a,
sweet. Okay, ma'am was saying something. Sorry,
yeah, I
did I
said
cut?
that's a quite a sentiment. We want to take back. Yes, that yeah, love stories do exist, and
Yeah, I mean,
with
it was a strange love story, very very strange to decide at the age of what 15, 16, when you're in the 11th, when you're in the ninth standard, that you want to marry this particular person. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot. I don't know whether it was the right decision, wrong decision, but yes, we did decide to get married. We did get married after 6 years of having going around. From the age of yeah, I got married at the age of 23. So that was very very early for a man to get married at the age of 23. For a boy, actually, I was a boy, not a man. So yeah, I two kids were born by the time I was 29, and we grew up together. And that's the reason why I say that, it's always good to talk to your kids, because sometimes you become a child, and there's always a child in you. Every human being has a child within. You don't want to accept the fact, that's another point, but there's always a child within you. So yes, we were children then, both me and my wife. We were kids. We didn't know what we were doing, but we took that decision because I guess both of us were in love with each other. So we decided that, and then the parents finally decided for us. Excuse me, I mean, would you like to get married or just hang around like this? Because we would like you to get married. So we decided that yes, we should get married. We did get married at the age of 23, 1978, 22nd of April. If anybody wants to remember that date and send me happy anniversary wishes, please do so.
And I guess that's the reason we organize these workshops to interact with these kids, to remind us that we are also kids, and we bring you to these workshops. Actually, you can have an interaction with these kids, and to give them your perspective as well, as in how the situations
Yeah,
were and how it has
both
evolved.
both of us, me and my wife remember exactly what we were when we were in the ninth and the 11th standard. So we sometimes really, when you reminiscing about your little childhood, you also get into certain amount of nostalgia, and that nostalgia is really sometimes very kiddish. But we enjoyed that period. We enjoyed every bit of it, and we are here after 43 years of marriage.
thank you, sir. Thank you for such a reflection. Hope we would make it to the guest list of your 50th,
Yes,
anniversary.
I'm hoping it will be the 50th anniversary, and in 7 years, I'm not going to be that old, but yes, I will be 73.
But you're getting every year you're just getting younger, sir. To be honest,
Yeah, thank you
we've
so
been
much, Sagar.
watching on screen,
Thank
you
you.
know, and
Thank
I've grown this beard only because I was portraying a particular character in the film that I shot in Turkey. But once I get back home, I will shave it off, and let's see how many years are kind of
Young.
shaved off
Yeah.
in that beard.
How
you'll
any
you'll definitely resemble someone of my age because I've just shaved as well. So we'll be like
yeah.
brothers.
Sagar Bhaiya has taken 5 years off of his face. He's looking 5 years, yeah. So
No, Swapnila, thank you so much for asking me that question. Goes back to when I was a child. I, I I think when I got married, I was still a child. I was shy, but it gave me a certain amount of confidence to have taken that decision. To even take my wife out, I had to, ask permission. We used to go out in school uniforms, but that was something that we did without knowing what we were doing. So I went and asked her brother and her brother-in-law and her elder sister whether I can take her out officially, rather than go quietly after school in that school uniform, take out the tie, and think you're adults. You're not. You're still children, and you're still kids. You're still watching an adult movie. Just because by taking out your tie does not mean that you become an adult. You're still within you. You're still a child. So I think it's necessary to try and understand how and when you progress from being a child to being an adult. You need to groom yourself to do that. You need to understand. You need to talk to people. It's not necessary that you talk about sex to understand that you're an adult or not. Sex education is very important, but that's not the only way to claim to be an adult.
I think that's the most key. I think consumption these days, and I really am happy that some of the things that you quoted are so realistic. That I think every one of us were looking somewhere to understand this only, and somewhere the doubts that we always have, or the presumption that ये तो actor है, ये तो ऐसे ही होगा, या इसके पास तो बहुत ये होगा, वो convenience होगी. But when we talk candid, we actually get to know that how much important a craft could be, and how much importance it has for the person.
Correct.
And it's been beautiful reflections that you gave out today.
Sometimes when I answer somebody on Instagram or on Facebook, they don't really take me to be the person I am. They block me. They think I'm fake. The only way I can tell them, if you have a camera on your phone or on your laptop, switch it on for 2 minutes, 2 seconds, see my face and switch it off. After that, you want to block me, you're most welcome to do so. But if they're not going to do that, and they're going to blame me, I'm just being friendly. It doesn't mean that I want to do something. It doesn't necessarily mean, I have some ulterior motive. Yeah, you sent me a message. You sent me, hi, how are you, sir? I sent back to you, yes, I am fine, whoever that person's name is. And then suddenly a reply comes, oh, you're actually talking to me? No, I cannot believe that it's the same person. Why would a celebrity like you talk to a person like me? Hurry, I'm a human being, man. Celebrity hogi kisi aur ke liye, but I'm not. So
Yes,
I think it is
I can
necessary
ascertain
to.
that fact, because sir has always been very forthcoming, and whenever I message him, we have had many regular chats also, asking each other how we are doing, what's going on in our life, and it's always been such a pleasure that it's so casual. ऐसा लगता है that we are talking to a friend only, so doesn't create any kind of barriers or judgments or any sort of that.
I don't think it should. I mean, if you have taken the pains to send me a message, I have just replied to you. That doesn't mean that there is an ulterior motive behind my reply. If you find me to be disgusting after I have spoken with you, you're most welcome to block me. You don't want to talk to me, don't. But if I talk to you as a human being, as a person, and I say, hello, how are you? Is there anything wrong with that? But anyway, I mean, that's how people, think of us as celebrities, or that celebrity status that has been given, and that is probably the most, disheartening fact of being in a position that you are in, and trying to be friendly with somebody, trying to be genuinely wanting to talk and have a conversation. So I don't see any reason for people to say I'm not the person that I am. Then you have to check for yourself. I mean, if you don't want to check and just say, no, you're not the right person, I think you're a fake. You have a fake ID, or somebody just put your photograph there. And it happens. It happens. Many times it happens. And many times there are instances where the celebrities' faces have been put, and people have been, kind of, given a wrong impression. But that doesn't go for everyone. So, yeah, thank you so much
Thank you so much,
asking me
sir.
these questions. Yeah.
It is like
I just
it was
just
so,
one quick.
yeah. Bolo.
I just want to quote something, sir. I still remember last year around this time only, after you had a conversation with Om Prakash. I think he took one of your interviews. So he said you can approach sir on Facebook. So I like I got connected with you, and I think we had a call, and I was literally trembling and shaking at the time. But the security I got was very very welcoming, and since then we have been in touch. But I just want to tell you that because of the comfort that I got from your side, I approached other of your parallels. I wouldn't name them, but I did try. But I'm still waiting for their reply or consideration, and I feel that sometimes if they could also come forward. But that's the thing, like because of you I otherwise I would have never even done that. It's just that I had a word with Om Prakash, and I was discussing a concept, so he said you can have a word with us. So I said okay, I'll try. And then after a lot of contemplation, and even I was, I think, I would say at low at that time because of corona and hitting so hard and all, and I had lost a job as well. So I was just discussing, and the comfort assured me of some kind of hope in humanity again.
There are two other people that, if, in case you do want to talk to them, I can always give them your number and you their numbers. One is Smita Jaikar, who is a fabulous speaker. She speaks on spiritualism, spirituality, and how it has helped the human mind. She is one whom you can approach. She is very, very approachable, no problem at all. The other person is Nina Kulkarni, who's also fabulous. Both of them are fabulous actors. So these two are the two actors, actresses that I have absolutely no qualms about saying you can approach them. They will never mind me saying or giving you their numbers. They will never, never, ever say, Shishir, why did you give them my number? So if you ever want to have another session with people around here on this particular platform, you're most welcome to do so with Smita Jaikar and Nina Kulkar. I will sound them. I will tell them that this is how they conduct. This is how they want to talk to you about mental health, about illness, and she will give you a complete lowdown on how to deal with this in connection, in conjunction with spirituality.
Right. Actually, that would be helpful because we would also appreciate giving space to women actors and listen to their perspective as well, because I think that has been very rare in our society. And one person that has been always vocal about her values, I think, of the older generation is Nina.
एक second, रुक जाओ. He's on a call.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was mentioning that very few women actors come forward and talk in so candid form. I think the one of the older actresses who have been very vocal is Neena Gupta ma'am, and she has been upright and straightforward in raising the concerns. And I think the write up step that she did with her daughter Masaba was also a very great initiative that happened on Netflix. And I think that should be more embraced rather than criticized for what kind of content it is. And that's a beautiful aspect.
But Jigyasa, you cannot stop people from criticizing. You see, some people think criticizing somebody else is their birthright. Fine, you can criticize. I am not denying the fact that you cannot criticize, but then you cannot keep criticizing that person for the heck of criticism. You cannot be known to be Just, okay, Jigyasa, you want to criticize? Please criticize, no problem. But you cannot hold anything against that person every time. There's got to be something that that person has done good or well for the country, for the humanity, for herself, for her family. And then you can say, yes, I think that person has done really well. There's no harm in saying that. It's not below your dignity. I mean, your ego is not going to be hurt. If your ego is going to be hurt, then I don't think you have the right to even criticize.
Fair enough. I think that's something that I proactively communicate on many social media platforms, that just do not criticize, but appreciate the efforts that people are putting forward.
I think so. Yeah, it is necessary. It's necessary.
And I think a lot of people, I don't know, sometimes I'm taken in a wrong sense also, but then that, like, my values are something that I work for. So that's been an quite advocative initiative that I talk about. And saying like this, and not being a blabber here, I just want to quote that even like I have been writing, Sagar and I think the idea that we got connected was on the idea of literature that we created, like we create, as in like investing our time in that. So both of us are poets and story writers. Even in fact, we both have written separate films. Like, he's working on one, and I have worked on a few scripts in the mental health area when I was in Manhattan. So now I've worked, like, I've written a short story, and I want to work on it, like in theaterizing it and characterizing it. So I'll do send it to you for a review, because I'm
Please.
literally looking
Please.
for a review.
Please.
So that's something that I wanted to put
No,
forward.
I am all for people who want to voice their opinion. Voice your opinion. Voicing your opinion and criticizing somebody are completely two different aspects. You're voicing your opinion by giving your personal feedback. But by criticizing something, if you've got something against that person, that's why if you're criticizing, then I think it's the wrong thing. But if you're criticizing for the betterment of, for a performance that the person has not given, or wanting to improve upon that performance, then I think it's a worthwhile criticism. But don't criticize somebody for the heck of criticizing somebody.
Indeed, and I think that's relevant as well. I think most of the key reflections that you offered are, somewhere we all as youngsters were looking forward to, especially like we do not, ऐसा होता है ना, that parents keep telling us the same thing, but we don't listen to them and comply to them, just because we think, अरे ये तो parents ये तो बोलते रहेंगे and इनका तो काम ही है. But I think a lot of uh, men have actually given out some best advices, and keeping the idea of feminism in place. And I think one of you that I've come across is you, and you did refer to Satish Kaur also in the conversation. So I just want to mention that he's actually my second father, because I have fruitful debates, talks, all the idea discussion with him. Like, and my somewhere or the other, I hold this, that just because people are old, they should not be put out of work, because I think that's not a concept that's followed in foreign countries. They are working till they are living. So I and always with that perspective, I feel that they should be heard in India as well, because we think कि कोई बूढ़ा हो गया तो उनका नहीं है, but I would say sir has so fresh ideas and relevant ideas. Yes, he has complaints that I don't contact him regularly, but I will try to cope up, because again, I'm also involved in certain things. But that's the responsibility I think we lack somewhere, that we take the other person for granted somewhere.
True.
So sir always has these complaints that you always talk when you are in need, and that way. But then he doesn't shy away from giving the valuable feedback. And that's one about it. And even like how you mentioned you are with your parents, I think we are two sisters, and our like parents have treated in a similar manner. Like like our father is actually our friend. Like we don't like we do respect him as father, but more or less we are always, you know, in a mode of um, friends, and not just friends of teenage kind. We are more like kids in front of him. Like we talk in that sense that we have not grown up. We are just that of that age, whether it's Prerna or me. And I think that's been encouraged a lot in a very positive manner. And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think all fathers who've got children will understand the fact that they are kids after all. I mean, whether I
yes,
become 70, I'm still a child for my mother. And I will still behave sometimes in a very, very childish manner, which might, irritate her. But then it is also the love for the mother, the motherly love for the child that, comes through. And as I said, everyone sitting here, including me, has a child in him or her. So it really doesn't hardly matters when you act like a child. You act like a child sometimes. It's okay. You want to go back to your childish roots probably. You want to go back to how you behaved when you were a child. You probably didn't get to do certain things as a child which you want to do now being an adult. So you're just going back into being a child. It doesn't really matter. It hardly matters. So I think it is necessary to understand, to evaluate your own personality and see how you can actually mold that personality into being a better being, into being a better human being. So try and create that awareness around you, amongst you, and be a good citizen of this country. Try and evaluate the the nonsense that is happening today in today's times, and how people behave. The way they behave, you can always correct them. There will be backlashes. There will be people who will tell you, mind your own business. We are doing whatever we can. We don't want to do it. But that's not the way it is. You've got to tell them that, yes, I think it is necessary for you to behave in a particular manner to safeguard the interests of this particular country, to safeguard to safeguard humanity on humanitarian grounds. I think it is necessary. So if you are a good human being, I'm sure people will follow you to being a good human being.
thank you, sir, for your the kind of knowledge that we have got from you. And I request Prerna to offer a small, gratitude to you, though we can't physically, accommodate this, but then at least virtually we can do our best, to do so. So Prerna, please take forward.
Yeah, so thank you so much, sir. I am sure that all the participants had a very candid but yet very insightful conversation with you all and with you, and have very good takeaways to take away from the session. Every character that sir has portrayed, whether it is smallest of the roles to the biggest of the roles. And I would also appeal to you to do check out his independent work with short films and all, because with every character that he plays, it's something that you take away from that. And he's always been very forthcoming to support youngsters, to support new talent. And if he truly likes something, then he'll definitely go for it. So never be hesitant. I am very lucky to find a mentor in him, because I know and that we have now come to that position that I can always like go to him and ask for advice. So yeah, you can also explore your opportunities. Don't shy away from taking any leap of faith, as sir said. And thank you so much, sir, for coming with us and having this conversation with us again.
I thank all of you, and Hosanna and Kalyani. Please, if you have anything that you would like me to read, if you've written anything, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't really matter. I will read it and I will give you my
Surely,
honest
sir.
opinion on that.
Surely.
And yeah, please go for all the opportunities that you want to go for. Don't hesitate. Don't hold back. Just go for it.
And
Thank you
before
so,
before
so very much. Anytime you guys want to come back again and have a discussion on any aspect that you want me to talk about, whether it be the film industry, whether it be my career, the way I look at things in life, please do so. Individually and collectively. You're most welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would request for a final photograph with all the participants that we have here. I request everyone to turn on their cameras so that we can take a snap of the whole conversation. Guys, please turn on your cameras.
And after that, we follow our tradition of yay and boom, I think. Very.
How was the session, guys?
So this is like a small thing that we have a tradition of that Sagar introduced, that whenever we agree to something, we say yay, and when we like something or we want to appreciate something, so we go for boom, right? So let's see. Let's do that.
Drop some booms for Sir Shishir Sharma, sir. Come on, guys, drop some booms.
Right.
Amazing.
Tina, you took the photograph?
Yes.
Amazing.
Always on point. Right. So let's do this thing. 1, 2, 3. So let's do one thing, right? On the count of 3, let's react. Okay. Let's communicate. Let's give the feedback, right? So 1, 2, 3.
Boom.
अरे इतना अभी इतना ज़्यादा बात किया अभी इतना लोग क्यों हो रहे हो? Let's
don't feel shy. Don't feel shy. I will not feel bad. Even if you don't say boom or yay, it doesn't really matter. No, yeah, I had a great time. I really loved the session. Please go ahead and say whatever you feel like.
I think 1, 2, 3 again. Let's go for boom. 1, 2, 3. Yes, so boom.
Boom.
Thank you so for such a insightful session. I think all the youngsters coming, and the older ones as well, coming from various dimensions of law, literature, psychology, and media, will appreciate the key takeaways and would imply in their personal practice, and just accommodate the best of best.
Absolutely, please do that. I wish each one of you all the very, very best in whatever you do. Don't dabble with anything. Concentrate on something that you want to do, and I'm sure you will find success in it.
And I'm pretty sure that we'll connect with you again.
Please, most welcome. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Others, please repeat till again, please.
Okay, I think we have left.
React to कर देते.
How was the session, guys? मजा आया कि नहीं आया मतलब? I hope it was fruitful और मजे से ज़्यादा.
An elder person here, मतलब ऐसे कुछ chill वाला. React तो कर देते, थोड़ा embarrassing हो जाते हैं.
करा था वो लेट आ रहा था, कर लिया था सबने react. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. Anybody who wants to share any feedback, you can like unmute yourself and say something. It's okay. We are here for an informal conversation only. कोई भी कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं? हाँ, स्वप्निला.
I was asking Jigyasa ma'am for the contact. I also want to send a story.
Yeah, you can connect with him on Facebook. Yeah, he always responds on Facebook Messenger usually.
We'll share his profile with you if we can. Yeah. We will surely, not if we can. But
he doesn't talk much on number and
number उनके change होते रहते हैं. Like he has 3-4 assistants.
Whenever you want to get it connected, you contact Prerna and she will help you out.
Yeah, because I also contact him usually on my Facebook Messenger only. So that is not an issue.
Whenever anybody wants to connect with him, you just connect with Prerna and she will get it through.
Yeah, I can also put forward a message from your side if you want. Or yeah, I'll ask him for his email ID. Then you can actually mail it, the story to him. In fact.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yes, Swapnila. What do you want to share?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful session. और बिल्कुल ऐसा हमने एक बार ऐसा हो गया था कि हमने देखा कि चलो कौन है तो 2-3 दिन से ना मैम ने ना एक प्रॉपर एक्साइटमेंट बना रखी थी, कोई ना कुछ है तुम लोग, बहुत मतलब उसको मेंटेन कर रखा था, कहते ना कि
हवा बनाया था ना, हवा बना के रखा हुआ।
हाँ, मेंटेन रखा था उसको।
मेरे को कितने सारे लोगों ने पूछने की कोशिश करी, अलग अलग वेज में निकलवाने की कोशिश करी कि मैम थोड़ा बैकग्राउंड बता दो, क्वेश्चन उसके हिसाब से पूछेंगे, मैम ये मैम वो। मैंने कहा ना 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 ना। And there was one of us, I think Ravneet, she had an idea maybe. So she actually wrote it on the other group. She said, "Is it Shishir Sharma?" And I'm like, delete कर इसको मैसेज जाके, नहीं बताना था अभी। So she then went and deleted that message.
I guess that was through our Instagram page that
Yeah,
she might
probably.
have searched about it. So I guess it was a great session for you all. कुछ तो सीखा ही होगा, काफी कुछ उन्होंने काफी insights दी काफी चीजों के बारे में, his whole journey.
सीखा होगा नहीं होगा, entertain तो वही होंगे ये लोग।
Did you notice that how good an actor he was after all?
Yes,
you must go to the deep roots. The way he has gone from bottom of his heart and spoken to you all. It's not that he was just flirting or he was posing much high of his own. What he was bringing it to your notice that how he has also traveled through this life.
Right.
And that is what is mandatory for all of us to watch out. Don't see the Audis and Mercedes of others. You are better equipped even by foot, even by cycle, even by two-wheeler, even by four-wheelers. All things will do the same thing. You take gradually time to pick it up.
And the best part being that even at his age, his prominence in the industry and the way he's growing over and over, it's amazing. So guys, we are hardly 20, 21, 22, 27, 25. So we have ample of time, right? And to explore and to probably get into what we want to. It's just take looking back, like he has just done acting, and like although he has been into business and everything, but his prominence has been acting, right? So looking back, you don't want to regret that I couldn't take out an year for myself, right? So it is important that what exactly you want to do, figure it out, start doing and moving towards it. And he can be a great inspiration for it, as in being an actor and being in the phase wherein he did not get any films or any roles. It was a very difficult time. So and those times were difficult as well, and now the industry is growing and booming. uh, there are opportunities, right? So yeah,
It's okay.
create a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And just one minute, I will don't leave anybody. I just want to note the attendance for today, like who are the 31 participants. Prerna, can you take the screenshot of the participants?
Too many have left. So there were around 48 participants. Now we are 30. So
No, by the time the event concluded, we had 40, and now we have 31. So 9 have left.
yeah, in the beginning we were 48. Then there was a constant of 44. By the time it concluded, it was 40, and now we have 31.
Right. So I think we send a Google form, but जो जितने अभी है उनका ले लो, जो नहीं है I think we can identify कौन कौन था और कौन कौन नहीं था, ठीक है? And whoever wants to share a feedback, honest or non-honest, or
we can stop the recording if you want.